What's up, everyone? Making my recap for today. Not gonna lie, today was probably some of the worst trading I have done. Certainly since trading with this approach. Maybe not quite that bad, but certainly for the last month or so, it's been the worst I've traded. After my morning, I actually decided that I was gonna delete all my YouTube videos for my recaps because I felt, is this an example? I've done this in the past where I've traded, began sharing what I've been doing because I've had some decent kind of results, and then everything falls away. And I was like, is this just another example? I don't want to be sharing any kind of strategy advice that doesn't work. And that's always, I think, my personal biggest fear, that I don't want to come across as some sort of scam artist or anything like that. I've offered in the past coaching for mental game, which is purely performance, which hasn't actually got anything to do with strategy. And I've always tried to steer clear of strategy in case what I did didn't work. And I've certainly had that feeling today after the first hour or so of the market. So if you have been following along, sorry those videos aren't there anymore. I regret deleting them, kind of. But after that, I actually performed okay. So straight up, the morning I was down around about $1,200, and my accounts, I think my main account as a result was down to only about $900 worth of drawdown on my live funded account, maybe a little more than that, and my uh, eval, similar kind of situation. And it was frustrating. It's part of trading that happens, and I think the difficult thing is that in the moment I was saying every trade I've taken is good. What's going on? And it wasn't until I looked back afterwards, about an hour later, and went, every trade I took was wrong. But we'll go through them. I'll go through my thought process. So the big mistake that I did today was I had this level here, pre-market high, and some I've actually not really been looking at as much recently, like predefined levels, and was like, look how beautiful this is. It was support, then resistance. This is perfect. This is the dream level. I should be looking for trades off of this. The issue I have with that, just the reason I don't do it, is where we opened is not that far from that level, and that level might not be relevant today. It has been during pre-market, but until I've got price action, it's not actually really a relevant level. But here came in the mistakes in thought process. So we had this high that was set, and I went, this is pretty close to that level. False breakout, sells off, and the first thing I saw was we've actually got a potential short. And from a pattern point of view, right? From, if this level here was an established level, this is a completely legitimate setup. But the situation is not one that I'm profitable in. It's not somewhere I have edge in, because this level has not been established as a key level that we've rejected a couple of times. So as a result, this trade is a mistake. The next trade I took, which wasn't horrific, but I still don't like, because I don't like the reason I came to that conclusion, was I was like, oh, it's a breakout trade now. We've broken over. We're looking for a long. This I could actually get behind, because we came down. We held this level of support, and as a result, I was then looking for this long here. First trade, by the way, I got in at 16,809.25 and stopped out for around about a 9-point loss. Second trade, I was like, okay, we've actually held this level. We're starting to hold the 50 EMA, but this hold of the 50 EMA here is not a clean enough signal for me. This for me is not a legitimate trade. So again, it's kind of beginning to chase an idea, thinking that I got into the bad habit very quickly of going, this is going to break out, this is going to rip. And it might be because the last week, this has been the daily chart. We've had these big moves, and it's like, we're in a bullish market. Let's just look for bullish moves. It's, maybe not exactly what I do, but it's going to work because we're in a bullish market. As you can probably imagine, that's not how things work. So I took a long in here, and I don't love it, but I did take half the position out for a small amount of profit and the rest out for scratch. So at this point, I wasn't down all that much on the day, but I still, I didn't love where I was at. But then the mistakes began to compound, because I then drew this level, this flag in here, and I would say that this second trade is probably, of all the trades I took, the closest to being legitimate because we've held level, we've got above the 50 and we flagged back. So this trade here, and I got in at 16,827. I didn't get the stop order, so I put a limit order in. Probably wasn't horrible. But I would still say that this situation is not like crystal clear. This is like a B plus type setup. We're attempting to get a major breakout of the high of day for this to work, which I don't really love doing. So I don't think this was like a horrible trade, but it's not a great trade. I got stopped out pretty quickly, and the other thing as well is it was pretty volatile today. It's quadruple witching day. We've got a lot of options contracts expiring. It's also we've got one more week before the holidays really start. So it was a bit of a messy day. There was some news at 9:45 as well. So the volatility was up. We didn't have clear setup. This is a clear indicator to me. No edge, just wait. And then what I did, and this was probably the most stupid trade of the day, was I saw this and I was like, this is, and I began getting into the thought process of this is gonna go, this is gonna break out, this has got to break out, this has got to break out. And I had an order and I was like, I'm gonna put it here and wait for where the true entry would be. And I didn't have any news down at 10 a.m. But this is definitely some kind of, some kind of news candle for sure. And unfortunately, I got in and got stopped out straight away. And this, like I said, put me down over 1,000 on the morning. And honestly, it was pretty painful to take because I've been really good recently, or just in general, at keeping my losses small on these accounts to a few $100s because my setup is so unlikely to take multiple losses in a row that as long as I'm executing well, I should only really. I could conceivably see myself down $1,000 every now and again, but it would be pretty rare. So this was horrible, horrible trading. And at this point, I went into a Discord chat that I'm part of, and I saw other people were struggling. I looked at the market as a whole and was like, this is very difficult. And I kind of regrouped and went, okay, this is a difficult market. Let's now wait. And I did. And I then, the rest of the day, traded much better. We got a double top at the high of day, a really nice flag back to the 50 EMA here. And I jumped in short on the break back below 16,850. And honestly, I could have got a slightly better entry than what I did, but it's okay. And I missed my take profit by a couple of ticks. Moved my stop, so took a small loss there. And now we have the first, I would say easy money trade for me. We came down into the support area and we held it from before. And this area was a nice area to hold because it was previous resistance on the day. It was support. So this is now a legitimate long opportunity. And what I did was I waited for us to get back over the 50 EMA and flag like this. And I got long right here, 16,861. Bit fortunate because it sold off, but I was happy with this trade because I knew that it was a legitimate trade. I took half off on this push here, and I took the rest as we began struggling into 16,884. The true exit on this probably should have been a bit higher. Mentally, I just wanted to sort of capture some profit, and I was up about more than 20 points on the trade, and I saw it struggling, so I was like, I'm going to take it off. It happened to work out really well because it came back to where my stop would have been. So at this point, I'm feeling more confident in my trading. I feel like I've made some good plays. I then make another mistake. And this is a mistake that I've been trying really hard to avoid recently. Again, we've got a legitimate setup. We've got the high of day that's been tagged a couple of times. We get below the 50 EMA. And it's looking to set up. And I put my order in here, and from an idea point of view, this isn't horrible, but I don't feel like we've actually broken the 50 EMA by quite enough. We've only broken it by about 6 points. So for me, this is we've only been under it for a few candles. I unfortunately get filled in here, and I think the worst part of this was because I realized it wasn't great. I actually put my stop tighter than it should have been. My stop should have been here at 71 above this candle because it's so tight. And if I'd have had that stop, then I would have actually just taken profit on this trade, and the result would have been, I think, plus 6 or 7 points. But instead, I get top ticked here because my stop was too tight. I re-enter. Fortunately, don't get stopped out again before hitting my first profit target. So realistically, this trade here, I should have made probably like 6 or 7 points on, but in the end I lost about 14 points. So I've thrown away a lot of potential today, let's put it that way. I then got one of the cleanest trades of the day. We got this pretty nice move back into the 50 EMA. We get below this level here at 618, 662, and that was my entry, and the risk is kind of around here, so not that much risk on a trade, around about 7 points. And as you can see, it starts to sell off. We take first profit out for around about 6-7 points, and then I took the rest out when we failed to get through the 40. So this point is pretty good. I've made, you know, a chunk back. And this is, I think, another sign that where my mental game's at. I'm thinking about, I've made a chunk back. Shouldn't be how I think about it. I then got another signal. Again, another very legitimate signal. We put in a low, which was a previous area of support in here. We get this really nice sideways price action. Get above the 50 EMA flag back. And I get long here. And this one had a tiny amount of risk to it, which, again, I don't love, but, you know, is what it is. So I think I ended up with this one. I got in at 26.50. I had about, you know, 7 points of risk to this. So the moment it popped up and gave me 6.5 points, I took, you know, half out. And then I got a tiny little bit of negative slippage on this for a small loss on the rest. And then finally, I've actually been looking at a chart out the side of on my other screen and realized that I've missed a trade here. I purposely decided not to keep on trading, but it's going to potentially miss out on the easiest trade of the day, which I'll go through. We then got the cleanest pattern of the entire day. We put in a beautiful double bottom here, nice sideways price action. We got above the 50, we held above it, and I went long right here. And I didn't love this because it was just before the whole 100 of 16,800. But it was fine. I gave myself a 10-point stop. It was a breakout trade. Chopped around for a little bit. I kind of ruined the first X. I only got 575 on it, unfortunately. Could have got a little bit more, but not the end of the world. It then chopped around for a lot. I put my stop back to break even once we had pushed through and tried to take out 810 and stopped out for pretty much break even. A little bit of slippage there as well. As I mentioned, this would have actually been the easiest trade of the day. I believe it would have been long here at the 803 level, probably risking in the ballpark of 10 points. We got the first move, which would have given me a quick 7-8 points, which I've locked in on, and I'd be now with a break-even stop. So if we do push up, I'd realistically, if we pushed into the high 20s, I'd probably take this one off because it's not the best time of day. So it may well be that this trade here, which I've moving things around, which I may well have missed, partly because I'm taking this video, and this is the other thing as well, like, when I make these recap videos, sometimes they're for myself to also look at the mistakes I made back here, but I kind of get to this point in the day, I'm like, I feel like making a recap video, and it's possible that I could have taken this trade, made a small amount of profit. That being said, I was down on the day about $1,200, I think, at the peak, maybe a tiny bit more than that actually, and I've ended up being down only $40 on the day, and I see that as I've kind of been let off, if I'm honest. I got away with some really bad trading. I think that the big insecurity I have in my trading is, will my edge be around forever? And I think everybody knows that a specific edge might not be around forever, but this type of style of trading, at least, I believe will be. And the difficult thing is that when you have that insecurity, when you go through a bad period of 4, 5, 6 trades where it's like everything feels like it's wrong, you're taking bad trade or trade that you think are good but they end up losing, all of that doubt comes into it, and as a result you end up going on a bit of a mental blow up, which I experienced this morning. I would say that the way I traded after those first 4 or 5 trades, the way the market continued to provide opportunity, I think does give me quite a lot of confidence that what I'm doing is going to be around for a long time and does work, and that I do have a clear edge. Unfortunately, the conditions this week have been pretty tough as we see this trade go. I'd probably consider taking out if we didn't push much higher than this. It would have been yeah, I'd probably take it off on that push there. It would have been a 25-point winner. And that would have actually, funnily enough, put me up 600 on the day. So, this video's cost me $600. Maybe, maybe not. But the way I really look at trading is it's a long-term game. And someone actually made a comment. We were discussing cash outs, and he said that you shouldn't look to build an account. Like my goal with my accounts is to get this first. Well, goal number one is to get my fourth account funded. Obviously, like if I can achieve that, I'm halfway there. I guess I need 1,300 more on that account. That's goal number one. If I can achieve that, then great. My next goal is to build my first account up. I'm still going to take cash outs. I'm not just going to never cash out from it. My goal is to get it ideally to a point where I'm at 4,500, 5,000, and then trade 2 accounts. And the reason for that is if I started trading a second live account alongside this one, which, by the way, if I just pause back over, is currently pretty much at the, I've got $2,300 of drawdown. If I began trading my other live accounts right now, and I did go on a period where I didn't trade well, tough market, my strategy loses some of its edge, and I hit that $2,500 drawdown, I blow 3 accounts. And for me, that would feel like I would set myself back quite a bit. So my goal, just in response to that and just in general, my goal is to get an account to about 5K, so that when I then trade 2 live funded accounts, if I have that, I've still got one at 2.5K. And then once I've got that next account to that 3.5, 4, 4.5K, I'll then trade 4 accounts if I have the 4th one funded. And then at that point, I'm also going to try to get another 16 accounts funded to bring myself up to that maximum of 20 accounts. I'm probably going to be taking withdrawals out still from these accounts to, bring in some income, and also so that I don't get to 3-4 months down the road and go, I want to take it all out, but I can't because you need to have 3 months of profit. So my goal is, and honestly, my strategy has such a large edge, I believe, that if trading well, I should be able to make more than the maximum amount that they allow you to withdraw anyway every 2 weeks. Historically, I have done that, whether it be on paper trading or on the evals or even with this, apart from this week. So for me, it's a case of I want to build these accounts so that in 3, 4, 5 months' time, I have 20 accounts that have $10,000 profit in them. And then what I can do is every 2 weeks take out the profit I've made. I don't have to worry about, take all the profit out of this account, lock in the 2K, and then start all over again. Because that means the most you're ever going to be able to make is a couple of thousands. And for some people, that's fine. That's what they're doing. I know Alpine Trader goes down the approach of he gets his accounts like 2,600 and then he'll do like 5 or 10 of them at a time and then move on to another bunch and be like, I'm just going to take that profit out and it's going to go back in. I can reinvest it into getting some more accounts, and then he repeats the process. The long-term issue with that is that the largest withdrawal you're going to be able to ever make is 2K per account. So you're cutting your profit down significantly. And trading isn't about making quick money. If your approach is build an account to 3K and then take it out, you then actually go through a far larger emotional experience, because you then have to get an account funded again. That's a lot of emotion if you're just going in and out, in and out. You then have to get the account to a set profit target to take the profit on that, which again, imagine being up 1,500. I just need one good trade and I'll be there. That's emotionally very tough to deal with. I've gone through it many times with evals in the past. Having set profit targets to then take out doesn't make any sense. So for me, my long-term goal, if I look at where I want to be in 6 months' time with these accounts, it's like I want to have 20 funded accounts that every 2 weeks I'm taking the profit out of. And you can't do that if your account's at 3K. because you're going to take out the profit and then blow the account. Then you've got to start all over again. So I'm very much looking at it from the long-term perspective. And I don't think that the if you have the approach of I'm going to get it to that $2,700 profit target and cash out, focus is P&L, profit, profit, profit. I need to make some money. That's not how you become good at trading. The only way to become good at trading, and I know this because I've worked with successful traders, losing traders as a mental game coach, the way to become great is to be process orientated, to execute your strategy day after day after day, taking, using that phrase of one good trade, and one good trade, one good trade. That's how you become great as a trader. That's how you make a significant income. It's not by using prop firm accounts to try and turn a quick 2K and then on to the next one, turn a quick 2K. Oh, now I can do 3 or 4 at a time. You can potentially do it that way, but all you're doing in the long term is cutting down your potential profit and putting yourself under a huge amount of emotional turmoil for no reason whatsoever. So a little bit of a ramble. I want to clarify that. Obviously, I'm not happy with how I performed today. If we include this trade here, there was opportunity today to make an absolute killing. And realistically, when I look back and I go, okay, so if we say we take the results of these trades bar this one, that was I'll bring them up on my journal real quick. I'll bring it over here. So if we just move me out of the way as well. It's my journal, by the way. If we take the trades from when I began trading well, and then we also include the one I just missed making this video. Even without the trade I just missed, 50 points of profit. To put that into perspective, that's for me $1,000. That would put my funded account at 53,300, which is, I then have $3,300 of drawdown to deal with, which again, it builds that cushion, and it would put my eval account within $400 of profit of the target. And if we'd taken that final trade, then I'd have got my eval account funded, and if I had taken it out, like I said, at that sort of like 29, if we pushed up here, I'd have definitely been taking out somewhere in here for say 25 points. It'd have been a 30 something point trade, $600. Yeah, my live account would be like 53.8. I would then have I'd have a $3,700 drawdown on that account. That the likelihood of me taking that's 12 losses in a row is, if I execute well, 0, or maybe like 0.1% or something crazy like that, and I'd have 4 accounts funded. So I'm not happy with how I executed today. I missed out on some really good opportunities, or an opportunity to make a really significant amount today. Those opportunities are still going to be there in the future. I don't have to try and catch up or anything like that. Like those opportunities will come again. It was a bad day, bad week. I made a lot of mistakes this week. My performance, I'll give you an idea real quick of how poorly I performed this week. I give myself a 1 or a 0 if it's a legitimate trade or a mistake trade. And if we look at just the trades this week, my accuracy performance is at 66%. So that means 1 out of 3 trades this week were bad. And if we're being honest, the second trade I took today, that long, I took it for the wrong reasons and it wasn't really that good. So I could even go down to 62%. And that is honestly not good enough. It's not a good enough return to be a successful trader. It's the sort of threshold that I've typically seen where you're pretty much breaking even. Now for me, I'm actually up $400 this week, which is great. But at the same time, that shows that, $400 for me, that's 1R essentially. At a 62% accuracy, I'm break even. And to be successful, the number I typically see in people is 80% to make an okay profit, and 90% where they're making significant profit. So for me, I look at today and I know I'm going on a lot. but just want to kind of get it out there more for me as well. To be really good at this, it doesn't matter what strategy you trade, but to be really, really good at this, 8 out of 10 trades need to be spot on. 9 out of 10 trades. If I'm at 6 out of 10 trades, I'm breaking even. The problem with breaking even is you're going to see a graph, a P&L graph, that goes like this. Okay, this is just basic sort of variance. If I'm at a break-even kind of approach, that is what your P&L graph will look like. And these swings are really difficult to take. Just again from a mental game side of things, you're never going to really get anywhere. And although yes, you zoom out and it's like it's just a straight line. This is what is mentally tough, because this is what breaks you. This is, to be honest, this is kind of what I felt like today. I kind of felt today like I'd been experiencing this sort of like whipping back and forth, and then I went into this morning and maybe was pushing things a little bit too much. Then boom, you're down $1,000 because your performance, or my performance, wasn't good enough for the last week to pull out the potential, and as a result, I went and screwed up. So yeah, thanks for watching if you stuck to the end. Not an easy day, and there'll be a lot of work for me now over the coming few days to understand what the mistakes were, to look at this type of price action and to kind of understand why there wasn't an edge. I can pretty clearly see, if I compare that to sort of like the best trades from a week ago when the market was really clear, there was much bigger range. It was very clear types of setups. We had clean move up, clean move back, clear level. The flags, the breakouts, they were all way clean. This had a big sell off and a hold. So these are all very clean situations, compared to this where it's a kind of just a meat grinder. It's not really doing a huge amount. I have to understand that this isn't my type of price action. Yes, you could have just caught all of these pullbacks, but for me, I don't. That's not how I trade, so it doesn't really matter. I personally think that the first really clearly legitimate trade was this short, and then after that, the long I think was just about legitimate, or it was legitimate, and then after that, some shorts that were good, and then honestly, this long here in particular was probably the only easy play of the day. So it's my recap. Sorry it was super long. Sorry that the other videos aren't around anymore. I can make a video on the weekends if people request it, where I go back over the whole week if you really want, or my edge. But yeah, as for that, I will call it here, and I'll see you all next week. I was looking to camera a lot there without my thing there. Sorry about that if you're just seeing the screen. But yeah, I hope you all had a slightly better week than I did, and have a good weekend, and I'll see you all next week.